Afternoon, everybody. I'm here of Poppy and Rye. This is Mr. Kanad. In the middle of the pond, Mr. Kanad rubbed feet to propel himself swiftly across the steady strokes. There was something mighty fine about swimming, enough to make one fit as a fiddle. Now and again he lifted his head and let the pattering rain soak him even more. "Bless my teeth and smooth my tail," he murmured. "I do love water." Then he thought hard as to how best to explain his feelings in words that had a real impact. Though it took some hard thinking, he worked it out. The whole thing is, he decided, it never rains, but it should do it a lot. When Mr. Kanad said the phrase out loud, biting off the last T with his large orange teeth, he enjoyed it so much he repeated it to himself. It never rains, but it should do it. A lot. I must use that, he told himself. Perhaps during the next company meeting. They would appreciate it. They would. With his strong paws, Mr. Kanad pulled himself onto the bank, gave himself a shake, sending water in all directions, then turned to survey what had been achieved by the beaver's work. In the little valley through which the brook had flowed, there had been, in Mr. Kanad's mind, a dull, dreary landscape with little to behold but a piddling stream without power or grandeur. It had no depth. Its banks were wasteful in their simple, sloping nature. Why, the water itself had no texture or color. One could see through it. Limpid lily pads and useless bulrushes had marred its lazy surface. The animals who had wasted their time on the banks, mice, voles, otters, and toads, were insignificant. As far as Mr. Kanad was concerned, it had been a place where nothing important ever had or would happen, an utter waste. But now, how different the beavers had made it. Every day the pond was growing wider, deeper, grander. It had taken on the vibrant color of mud. It was a home for hardy, busy beavers who worked day and night. This, Mr. Kanad to himself with genuine pride, is progress. The portly beaver felt so good about it he spelled the word out letter by letter. Progress. And yet Mr. Kanad had to confess he was not fully satisfied. No, he was not. What he and his company had created was, he had to admit, merely a pond. Mind, he told himself, there was nothing wrong with a pond. A beaver who built a good pond had every reason to be pleased with himself. Yet even the word pond suggested smallness, a compactness of size which might be good enough for some, but not for the likes of Castor P. Kanad and Company. Not only could they do better, they should do better. As Mr. Kanad saw things, it was not a pond that was needed, but a lake. The beaver cast his keen engineer's eye over the little valley. To achieve a lake, they needed to build another dam higher up. As he surveyed the little valley, he noticed a boulder perched on a hill. A large boulder. It was embedded in an outcropping of earth and stone. Flowers and shrubs shaded it. As Mr. Kanad perceived it, the boulder was doing nothing but sitting there. But it could be providing the perfect anchor for a new dam, an immense dam. With the dam at that spot, a large lake could be created. It would be his crowning achievement, a monument to himself. Indeed, what could be a better name than Lake Kanad? Mr. Kanad liked the sound of it so much he said it a few times. Then he reminded himself with some gleeful rubbing of back feet that it was time to stop dreaming. Time to get down to the nitty-gritty, to grasp the nettle, to get in the trenches, to show the flag, to hit the road running. But even as he watched and planned, he saw a mouse creep out from under the boulder and rush away. Mr. Kanad knew what that meant. Mice were living under the boulder. As far as he knew, these mice were the only ones left around the brook. Most of the other creatures had departed. How pleasing to know there had been no resistance. Surely these last mice would quickly see the hopelessness of resisting the future. But what if they did not? He could swat them away, mere nothings that they were. Squashing the mice would be easy, though the thought made Mr. Kanad uncomfortable. He was no bully, he just wanted progress. He wanted the world to appreciate him for the good he was doing. What he needed to do was find a way to convince the mice to leave of their own accord. It would make him feel good. Nothing was more important than to make good their slogan, progress without pain. Mr. Kanad dove back into the pond and made his way to the main lodge. When he came within 5 feet of it, he dove and swam underwater until he found the entrance. Mr. Kanad went to his plans, laid out on bark, and began to draw in detail. The boulder here, the large new dam there, the lake everywhere. Then he mused, if I can make a lake, well, bless my teeth and smooth my tail, why not an ocean? The thought made Mr. Kanad grin broadly. Then he said, it never rains, but it should do it a lot. On me. Then he gave himself over to finding a way to conceive those last few mice that should move away. So poor Valerian and Clover, they're going to have to find a new home, it sounds like. But hopefully Mr. Kanad can do it in a kind way. He said that he doesn't want to be a bully and he doesn't want to hurt them. So hopefully they can all come to an agreement on where the mice should live, and so they have a safe place to live and they don't have to keep moving. I hope everyone has a wonderful long weekend and break. Get some rest, enjoy the outside, and enjoy the time with your family. And I look forward to seeing you back on Wednesday. All right, take care, everybody.